Hello and good morning this morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. Today is Tuesday, the 4th of May, and it's the first working day in this week. I hope you enjoyed your holiday yesterday and took time to enjoy some good rest after a busy working week last week. My name is Finifolu Falodun, and I welcome you to the Good Morning Education Show this morning. I will be sitting in for the host, Rotimi Itayo, this morning as we go into the show. We welcome everyone who is joining us from one part of the world to another. Would like to know where you're joining us from. Please let's know in the comments as you say good morning to us. Let's know where you're joining in from. As is our usual practice, we'll be starting the show this morning with the headlines, and then we'll go into some of the announcements we have for you, or we take the announcements before the headlines, and then we go into our topic for today. As you join us, we encourage you to share this link, to share the videos with your circle, with your friends, with your network, and even those you consider enemies. Share it with them. There's something for everyone to glean and to learn from the show every single day. Follow the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on social media, on Facebook, and everywhere else that we are. So, going into the show this morning, we'll just like to reel out some of the announcements and some of the events that are going on in within the originating actually from the Good Morning Education tribe out there to the world, to the globe. So first we have Ugochi goes to NYU. This was talked about a lot yesterday, and over the past weeks we have mentioned it that one of our analysts, Ugochi Obidiego, is going to NYU, and she needs us all to chime in to help her get to NYU. So there's a GoFundMe account, and there is her domiciliary account also if you want to send in your support to Gochi. All of this would come up at some point during the show. We also have the STEAM Fun Fest 2021 coming up on Children's Day, May 27, 2021. So you're wondering what to do with the children. It's not going to be a punishment for them to be on holiday and to be at home. It's not going to be a punishment for them, nor for you. The crew at Niger Kids, together with their partners, the delectable Titi Adewusi and her team, have put together the STEM Fun Fest for children. If the financial intelligence session they had earlier in April, I believe, is anything to go about with the reports, with the feedback, then you don't want your children to miss out on the STEAM Fun Fest 2021. Register them today. Get them a slot. It's on Zoom, and get them registered. There's just a number. There's just space for so many. So you don't want to keep thinking and dilly dallying on this. You want to register them straight up. And ginger me. Yeah, we all need some kind of ginger in our lives. We all need some kind of, that thing that just picks you up and says, look, you can do it. You have it in you. You just need to bring it out. Yeah, Ginger Me. That's a book by Rotimi Tayo. It will be hitting the bookshelves soon, pretty soon. And pre-orders have opened already. You can pre-order your copy. Just look for him on social media: Instagram at Rotimi Tayo, Facebook Rotimi Tayo, and then you have the link to register, to pre-order for the book. And then we talked about the Business Accelerator Masterclass. Oh wow, it started off to a fantastic start yesterday. Lagos Island, Lekki, the location was Lekki specifically. For all the people that were there, I do not see them recovering from that session. We have businesses that have been fired up. We have people who did not even know that they had businesses in them, but they have been motivated to start their businesses and to be able to run their businesses. So the Business Accelerator Masterclass is designed to give your business wings to fly. That's just what it is. Pump the throttle on your business and take it, scale it as many x's as you want. That's as high as and as far as you can go. So yeah, we're done and dusted with Lagos Island. Benin, the train moves to you on the 6th of May, Abuja 8th of May, Port Harcourt 9th, Lagos Mainland 13, Calabar 15th of May, Ibadan 23rd of May, and Uyo, your date to be confirmed very soon. In some of the locations, we're already overbooked. And so we may not be able to take any extra. But in some of the locations, there's just a few seats left. You can put your name on that seat. Register today, and let 2021 be a remarkable year for your business. Okay, so those are the announcements we have on the show this morning. So far, those are the announcements, and we'll be going to our headlines, the headlines from the world of education this morning. First, we have JAMB responds to allegations of profiling Baptist Girls Academy. Wow. Okay, so I haven't gone through the full details of this news item, but profiling of any kind, profiling of students, either for registration or for eligibility to write exams, is not something we should be talking about in 2021. I mean, this is 2021. Girls Academy, I have a fair idea what that could be. I'm not saying it's what it is, but I have a fair idea what it could be. And we're hoping that uh, these girls will not be disadvantaged in any way. They can take the exams and stand the opportunity to be the best of themselves that they have the capacity to be. The next headline says confusion as Nigerian lecturer fails to solve math problem during class. Okay, so my mind goes to my university days right now. I won't say now on this particular edition which university I went to, but I can imagine what the response could have been like, if this had happened in school. Man, how do you put out a problem for students to solve, and as the lecturer you can't solve it? This this is sad. It's laughable. It's sad also. Does it mean that we have lecturers who are just pouring out? They're just pouring out from textbooks. They're just um they're just copying and pasting for students. Like they really do not understand what they're teaching, or I don't know what is it. Is the steam off for them? Have they lost steam? Have they, or really do they just do not understand the concept? Whatever it is, students deserve a whole lot more than this. We deserve a whole lot more than teachers, lecturers who deserve a whole lot more. So, well, I hope that ends well for him eventually, that he's able to, I hope he's able to redeem his image, and that he can come to a place where he can solve this problem with his class, with his students. One thing teachers and lecturers really do not do is to admit that they have limitations. Just let your students know, okay, right now I may not be able to solve this, but can we find a solution to it together? Can we go to Google together to find a solution to it? You don't have a monopoly of knowledge, but the teacher wants to appear like the all in all. I know it all, and that doesn't usually work out well. Uh, okay, Nigerian teenager bags 19 international scholarship offers worth over $5 million. Yes, we took that yesterday. That was that I saw that on almost all news, on almost everywhere I looked this past weekend. I saw that news item, and it's heartwarming to know that yes, we Nigerian students are not what our school system makes it look like. If we go by the statistics of uh, grades as people leave the university, there's a tendency to think that Nigerian students are under performing, or they're not as smart or as intelligent. But no, I think it's just the environment that is not enabling for them to be all that they can be. So for this young girl, kudos to you. We look forward to seeing many more students bagging feats like this. Don counsels institutions on fundraising culture. Fundraising in the universities, like the mainstay of the income, of the revenue, is in fees. But if we're talking about higher institutions, we should be able to diversify income or fundraising. Well, I think in this particular case, he's talking about fundraising. Like we have this project, and then we now launch a fundraising and say, excuse me. We are old students. We're appealing to you to help us do this or to do that. No, he is Professor Jibrila Amin, the former Vice Chancellor of the University of Maiduguri, is advising higher institutions to imbibe the culture and techniques of strategic fundraising, so that they're not at the mercy of anybody, and it doesn't look like every time they're coming cap in hand to beg for money. So we hope they can pick one or two things from that, and that our universities can get on top of their fundraising game. Now, National Open University of Nigeria visitation panel to probe funds insecurity. I mean, this is one S word that it doesn't spark good emotions in this country presently. So when we talk about security or the insecurity, it's become a real serious issue. We have talked about this many times on the show, and I would really want to see a situation where we're not talking about mitigating it now. We're talking about what is working in the space of security and keeping our students safe in schools, lecturers, and every other person who keeps school systems across board running and keeping them safe. So the Now Station panel, we hope that whatever they find in their probes for funds, for insecurity, will be put to work, and that workable solutions are found to help reduce the spate of insecurity and lack of funding and the problems that come with them. Okay, another headline says SANU warns of another strike in universities. Wow. Should our universities be avoiding the S words? Okay, so that's an aside, but really, why would we want to have another strike? Students are just resuming after 1 year plus of being at home. We're just beginning to have a similitude of a system that is going to get back on track. We're just beginning to have a similitude of running education system that would work for this session. And then there's another threat or warning, whichever way we put it, of a strike looming. I will just appeal to SANU, whatever it is, please find some other ways to negotiate, find some other ways to resolve this without it having to be strike. Because yes, you may say that the SANU, it may not affect teaching, but it's going to affect the school system in some other way. So a strike is not what we want to see happen or come up now. And on the note of a strike, in walks Ugochi, the safety chick. Good morning, Ugochi.
Good morning. Okay, how are you doing? Good morning, everybody.
I'm very well. Good morning and welcome to the show this morning. We're taking the headlines, and the next headline we have now. Oh, okay, which actually is the last headline. Says we're under pressure to resume strike. University workers say they are under pressure to resume strike. What's your thought?
Is there like a reason why they're under pressure? What exactly is
Okay, so
like?
it
Is
says
there more?
The Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities. It's actually like further details to the headline we just considered. SANU has claimed it's under pressure to resume its suspended strike after the federal government failed to fulfill its promises at expiration of the April 30 deadline. So the pressure they're under is that the federal government has failed to fulfill its promises and they may have to resume the strike.
Okay, I think I get that. Okay, so I don't think that's good news. It's not good news because if they go on strike, I just seen how it's going to affect the students again, and we've already had some time lost, a lot of time lost actually last year. They just resumed, I think, sometime in January or February, and now this again. So I think the disruption is becoming too much. I hope the government is able to discuss with them and sort things out as soon as is possible.
Yeah, yeah. Good morning, Mrs. Adewusi. Welcome to the show this morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the month of May, and it's a good morning as always on the Good Morning Education Show. As I was listening to you on this headline, the bottom line is funding. That's what it is. The bottom line is funding. It's the poor funding and the fact that the tertiary institutions are solely dependent on government for their funding. So when they go on strike, even though they go on strike, I think when things are back to normal, people expect to be paid, even though for the period that they were on strike. It's a tough one. Government doesn't really have the money. Of course, people can argue and say that they spend money on other things. It's an argument. I am a firm believer in schools looking for alternative sources of funding. University education is not free. We've said this many times on this show. Education is not free. It shouldn't be. Education has a cost. Someone is bearing that cost. But obviously, we're all relying on the person that doesn't even have the money to bear the cost. Which is why increasingly I feel open this thing out, let it, let people pay more of the real amount. Yes, less people will go to university, but these days there are now so many alternatives for you to acquire skills. They are vocational, they are online schools. So everybody will look at what works for them within their pocket. Not everybody should go to university, to be honest. It's same, the skills that you need, can you get them in another way? cheaper. And then this will force the university system to become more efficient, more focused on raising funds, marketing, and really being valuable. Because if you're not valuable, then you won't even get the student. Rather than just wait, get funding, then everybody does whatever it is they want. So we need to make that major shift. So you find that in other countries where tertiary education is quite good, it's not free. Very little of it is funded by government. Very little of it is funded by. A lot of it is funded by the fees. Another part by corporates and research. Another part by endowment funds from the alumni. That's the main source of it. Then so we need to get there with our tertiary institutions. That's really what it is. So when you look at the likes of the schools that don't go on strike, it's because they are private. That's the truth. I'm not aware that universities like Covenant, Babcock, and all those other private universities go on strike. So we need to. I believe that we need to make some tough decisions. We need to make some tough decisions when it comes to tertiary institutions. Funding is the main. All this talk, the main story is funding. Okay, all these agreements that they've gotten to the union, the union is about money. And so when they say government is not keeping their own hand of the agreement, it's really about money. But once you have money in the system that you yourself are self-generating, then you become a different. I don't know if you remember the day that there was the period at the time of Tinubu when Lagos State and the federal government were fighting, and for a couple of years the federal government wasn't giving Lagos State funding. Lagos State continued because they have they have alternative sources of revenue. Lagos State has the highest internally generated revenue. So we need the point. I'm just saying that we need to have a change when it comes to tertiary institutions. It's not easy, but increasingly, that's what they need to consider. What are the other sources of income? How can they increase the fees? So instead of saying 100 naira, 10,000 naira school fees, how much should you really be? Okay.
So I know some people will not agree with you on the increase of fees, because as what it is now, some parents are still really struggling to pay. So we want quality, but are we willing to pay for it? It's a different thing that, yes, there is poverty and people some people genuinely cannot pay the fees, but people typically want quality and they don't want to pay the price for quality. So increasing fees may be a little dicey, may even lead to student strike. This time around, no workers strike, but student strike and parent strike, saying no, our kids cannot go to school on an increased fees. But then whatever it is, we need to find a lasting solution to this. In one of the headlines, Professor Jibril, the former VC of University of Maiduguri, was preferring or offering suggestions to universities on adopting the right strategies for fundraising. So, I'm thinking beyond just fundraising, and we have this project to deal on. My alma mater recently put out what's it called now? A call for the alumni to help them with boreholes in the school. Does it have to get to that point? We have different ways that we can internally generate revenue. Is it the system that is not making those things work, or we're just intellectually lazy, or we're just even physically lazy to carry out these things to make sure that the private universities that are working in Nigeria are being run by human beings, are being run by Nigerians? The system is being worked by Nigerians. So that tells us that our systems can work if we just put in what it takes to make it work. Whew. Okay. On that note, we would be going into the topic for today. We're talking about fit into the future. Talking about the university system. um, particularly. We've had quite a lot about the university system this morning, and it's not very appealing. It's that the news is not something that we really want. It's not the kind of news we want to be coming out of our universities. We want to be hearing that our universities, one student just uh, developed a robot that does this or does that. One lecturer's paper has been adopted by, those are the kind of things we want to be hearing from our universities, not strike insecurity, funding, threatened strike, and all of that. But this morning we'll be going into looking at fit into the future. First of all, I would like to hear your thoughts, Gochi and Titi, and what is the future of education? When we let's look at the future of education first before we see if our students or if the products from our universities can fit into this future. So, Ugochi, please go first.
Let me just step out from where I am so that it's a bit quieter. Okay. Okay, so I know it doesn't seem like we have our children sort of ready. We're not preparing our students enough to meet the reality of today, and it's actually a problem. And it's a problem because when they have to now start seeing how to get the other opportunities, the other things they need outside. So that's why now there's increasingly the talks of personal development, doing certain other courses out there, joining certain groups, because they're not getting everything within the system. And you still have situations where people are in certain departments and the lecturer would say, give me what I gave you. There's this popular thing, this is a lacram lapo. That the teachers just want you to give them their own particular one. They don't even want you to go and do your own research and come with more information. Meanwhile, in other climes, we're having a situation where you are given the necessary framework, and then you are told to go and do your research and then come to class and share what you have learned. And so that now becomes a problem because we are trying to raise people who are totally dependent on what is being taught to them, as opposed to making them very independent, because the workforce that they are going to meet when they step out will require them to make a lot of independent thoughts, independent decisions. And so if you're already making them to always rely on what the teacher is giving, then it's a problem. Yeah, so I don't think that we are doing enough. I know that we are having nowadays we're having more lecturers who are future forward, who are thinking on how to, should I say, prepare their students for what we have currently. I know that we have certain departments who make sure that they bring in other experts from outside the classroom, so that the students get a mix of both worlds. But then we don't have that enough. And we need it to be enough. We need so much of it so that it's going to cause that influence, that change that we want in the system.
Thank you very much for that, Ugochi. Yes, we're not doing enough as it is right now. But over to you, Mzadewusi. What's the future of education?
I think for me, the future of education will be what I call a parallel market, whereby there's this CBN rate and then there's the black market. So, because what will happen, especially when it's certain courses like, technology, people would never ask you anymore if you went to university. They would give you a task to do, and they will see that you can do it, and they will just employ you. That's just what might just end up happening. And there are so many I don't want to call them schools, but that's really what they are popping up, that are training people on the skill that they need. So when you have a whole online platform like Udemy, Coursera, you have other organizations that are like mini training schools that train people in a particular area. You don't even need to have an engineering background or anything for them to train you in coding, in a UI, UX, all the front, back end development. They can just train you. Same thing with accounting. There's some people that, from their secondary school, they start doing ICANN and ACCA without having gone through a 4-year accounting course. Hello. Okay. So
yeah, I can hear you.
What I'm just saying is that increasingly the future will focus on the skill and the value that you're bringing to the table, they will be less concerned about what formal system you use to acquire that. Because people know that you get someone and says the person has a an accounting degree, and the person doesn't know anything. Meanwhile, you get someone else that doesn't have an accounting degree, has completed ICANN, and is able to do the work. So there's going to be increasingly that shift. And it's not only in Nigeria that is happening. So let's not think that, oh, Nigeria's educational system is bad, and so it's only us. It's happening all over the world, where people are focused more on the value that you are bringing, not on whether you went through a 4-year, 5-year formal system to bring that value to the system. So there's going to be an adjustment. In the end, are we going to chase the paper certificate, or are we going to chase the value that the person is bringing to the table? So people are going to chase that. That's why a lot of people still go and do all these personal development courses, because it's really what the key is and those are the things that when we're growing up, they call it, you're doing apprenticeship, you're doing vocational, because what they're interested in is the skill. So when you go to someone and go and learn that skill that you can then use, we use the term it as apprenticeship and vocational. So a lot of that is really going to show. That's not to say that there's there isn't the place for the formal academic, but there's going to be a major shift. That's what I'm saying. When I look into the future, I see a major shift, and I'm talking as an employer of labor. In the end, I would want someone that has the skill. Increasingly, I look less at the paper. I don't even ask again, about your university. I ask different questions now. I will ask you, do you know how to code? What projects have you done with code? I'm going to ask more specific things. I'm not going to ask you, because she studied computer science, she knows how to do. No, I'm not going to ask that. I'm going to be asking more of the skill that I'm interested in. Do you have it? I'm going to give you a pre-recruitment assignment to do. And then based on that assessment, and I'll say, yes, this person, I'm not going to look at, oh, she's a first class accountant. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you work, account work to do, and say, this and this I want you to do. How would you go about doing it? This and this. That's what I'm interested in. So it's in everybody's interest, if you want to be fit for the future, to ensure you're acquiring skills and not knowledge that can be found on the internet. Let me pause.
Thank you so much for that. I realized that maybe even from the courses that are available in the university, it's like our students now, narrowing it down to Nigeria, this is a problem. It's a global issue. There are some schools in some countries where, let's just leave their matter. Let's face the home business. So yeah, maybe from the courses that are available, considering the fact that more Nigerian students find it more accessible to attend federal universities, some state universities, and then the private universities. Not everybody can attend those universities. So at the federal universities, the courses that are even available for students to take, some of them are archaic according to the demands of the world presently, according to the future of work. Some of these courses are already not finding place, or the way they were set up and the way their curriculum is built, the way the program is run, is such that by the time students are out of that course they're graduating, they're already irrelevant to in the field even before they graduate. So for instance, I was talking to a friend whose daughter was going to study medicine, and we're talking about all of the innovations that have come into medicine, telemedicine, nuclear medicine, and the idea of robots or to perform operations and all of that. And we have to look at what edge will this girl have over the robots. Tough, very tough call. because yeah, the robot can essentially do everything she can do except give the human touch and the human feel. And then by the time she's graduating from school, is there a future for her to fit into? So the question is, are the ways our education systems are set up, the curriculum and the way the programs are being run, are they of benefit? Are they of advantage to the Nigerian students to be able to fit into the future? Or should we at this point begin to look at more students, maybe after the primary education, then they begin to diversify into the skills that are innate to them or the skills that are interested in learning, and then now have the university education or whatever tertiary education they want to have as um well, not as an aside, but as an addendum to the skills that they're already learning. Ugochi.
Okay, so I think that they are currently doing something like that in the country. So, for example, I went to my secondary school, I think I think it's in 2019, and I found out that they had changed the way classes in SS happen in the senior secondary arm. And the goal for them was they said it's actually a federal directive, and it's because people are now increasingly realizing that not everybody might go to the university immediately or at all. So, for example, in secondary school now they're having classes like is it animal husbandry, and certain aspects of tech have been broken down into different components, such that if you leave secondary school and you are not going to university, you have learned at least the basics to even maybe go to do this apprenticeship, maybe if that's the route you decide to take. And I was surprised, and I was also impressed that okay, we are beginning to see that not everybody wants to go that route of come out from secondary school, go to university. Some people just want to go to trade, and at least they should have been equipped with the basics so that they can even start. And so I think they've already started. What I do not now know is if it is being implemented across all the schools in the country, or if it is only some schools, because I attend an Air Force school, and the Air Force school is under the Ministry of Defense. So they said it was directive that came from the top, and so that's why they had to drill it down like that. So from SS class, the students have all those specialized classes. You choose the one you want based on your interest, and I think that that's a good one. And if it is implemented across the entire school system, it helps such that those that decide, oh, maybe they don't want to go to the university, they want to just set up businesses, they're artisans, or maybe for some reason, maybe again, poverty can now be a reason where they may not be able to further their education. But then they're still able to do something tangible with their lives, which is really important, because we must ensure that these children feel enabled, they feel equipped, they feel empowered once they leave school. School shouldn't be that you've gotten the education and you don't feel empowered. If you don't feel empowered, then that seems like a waste of time, and it shouldn't be. Since we're working with limited resources, I think that it's a good port of call.
Thank you, Ugochi. Over to you, Mrs. Adewusi. Students set up already to fail.
It's a tough one because the world is also changing very fast. So there needs to be that balance of how deep and how specific is the skill that you're training them on. So what I mean is, like, if you teach them on this particular type of let's just say something about programming language, you'll be amazed that by the time the person has finished, maybe in 2-3 years, there's a new language training. So I think when it comes to training, we need to do the balance, which is why when they talk about learning, they talk about the skills for learning, which is the critical thinking, the collaboration, because those skills ensure that wherever the learning goes, you'll be able to find your level. So for me, what's important is always trying to envision the future and take a stand. But in taking that stand, we must ensure that we are teaching people how to, how we say, we're teaching people how to learn, unlearn, and relearn. People need to be that flexible. Look at what the pandemic has done. It forced us to be flexible, but not everybody, not everybody adjusted or adapted. Some people just said, let me wait till things are normal, or things are back to normal, and those are the people that lost out the most. So we had to quickly change. We had to quickly find answers that did not exist before. So in as much as we are training people to be fit, we need to ensure that those what I call those 4 skills are predominant in everything that we do. People are willing to, explore. People are willing to learn new things. People are willing to unlearn the old in order to pick up new things. But having said that, we need to look into the future and say, what's the future looking like? What skills do we need? What subjects and what should I say career paths are important, and how do we take a stance as a country? We can't be everything. So I believe in just putting your bet on a few things, and let's do those few things well. So if we say we want to put our bet on agriculture, let's plan, look at where it is now, look at what we envisage in the 5-10 years future, and plan along that. If you want to put our bet on things like tourism, let's take, as a country, take a bet on certain things and then build along those areas. You don't have to be good in everything. You don't have to excel in everything. Let's select the ones that we want to. If we say we want to select in technology, then let's heavily invest in trying to ensure from an early age all our children are deep into technology. If it's agriculture, they are deep into it. What are the modern things that are happening in agriculture? If you want to be in energy, for instance, alternative energy sources, because that's where the world is heading. So this one that gone are those days when it was a lot of geologists, people, things that had to do with fuel. Let's take a stand and say a lot of the things are moving to solar, or not necessarily solar, but other alternatives. So how do we then build careers in those areas? So I think it's really more from, let's take a stance on the future, bet on a few things, and then deepen the skill sets that we need along that area.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. I would want us to look at something that is a little, that is quite unpopular. So, with our culture or in our system, there are some specific kind of jobs that parents want their children to do. That's the future that parents then see or saw. Right now, yes, with the advent of technology and a lot more knowledge and all of that, we're seeing that there are a lot more options and professions for um, young adults to choose from. But let's talk now as Nigerians. Nigerian mommies, aunties, sisters that have cousins that have children, and we're really looking forward to, by the time this child leaves the university, or by the time they get into the university, this is what they're going to study. And maybe the child says, okay, so while preparing for this, I actually went to look for some uh, unconventional jobs that are available right now. So if a child comes and says, Mommy, Daddy, what I want to do with my life is to be a flavorist. Now, a flavorist is a chemist actually. So what they really do is that they formulate flavors, natural and artificial flavors. They're chemists in the real sense of it. So anybody who studies chemistry can actually do that. But the child comes and says, Mommy, I want to be a flavorist. Or they come and say, I want to be a human engineer. Our parents. Oh gosh, why are you laughing already now? Is our culture and our mindset, is it a limitation for our children to fit into the future?
Yeah. Well, honestly, the mindset of your parents, of your specific parents, can be your limitation. But I think I'm talking as a parent right now. I remember that when they asked my son, what he wanted to be. My son says he wants to be a pizza maker. Why? Because he loved pizza at that time. So as far as he's concerned, that was the best. That was
So
the
that
best
you'll be eating
career.
it as it's doing.
That's the best career he wanted to do. But I didn't discourage him, because I started looking and said, oh, do you mean you want to own your own pizza, chain of pizzas, pizza franchise? Because I guess being more exposed has allowed me to see various ways in
Exactly.
make one. I'm no longer limited
Yes.
to the mindset of my parents. That my parents' mindset was only lawyers, engineers, doctors made money. All other professions were poor professions. But I've seen people make money from being, mechanics. When I mean mechanics, is that people that pimp people's ride, charge you money to upgrade your thing. I've seen people make money from selling sand. I've seen people make money from producing toilet roll. Do you get it? I've seen people make money
Yeah.
from hair, from jewelries, from accessories, from clothes. So my mindset has changed, which tells me that anything now, as long as a lot of people use that thing, someone can make money. So as you said, this florist, flavorist, my mind was going to, my goodness, that's a fantastic career, because I thought about every single thing that I eat has flavor. Every cosmetic that I use has flavor. As you were just talking like this, I'm like, my goodness, I was just seeing money. Honestly,
You like money. Ladies and gentlemen. You always see the money.
I was just seeing the
Oh
money.
my God.
Honestly, did you get, even as you said the humorist? Honestly, as you said the humorist, I was just thinking of the people, I don't know, last time we talked, I was telling you about, there's this guy I now follow. This guy is like a black mime. He doesn't say anything, right? He has, only God knows how many followers he has on Instagram, but he does TikTok. You know, all those things that when they'll be giving you ways to do certain things, he will then show you, why can't you just do it this simple way? You understand? You know how they'll be saying,
Yeah.
the guy he doesn't talk, or he'll just put beside his own version of when they say do this something. He will just show, why not just tear the bread with your hands now? Why do you want to go take knife, have it? The guy just like tear it with your hand, That's like how did you call it? Humorist engineer.
Humor engineer.
So now he's traveling the world. Now he has people that want to coming to do adverts with him. They want to, him to be an ambassador. So he's making money. So what I'm saying is that I think the mindset has changed. But you know what? If I spoke to some children from a vulnerable community, and in their own mind, their parents are, plumbers, their parents are electricians, their parents are, all of them are saying they didn't want those jobs. As far as they are concerned, they want other jobs. Their own mindset is they want to be the likes of Davido. There's are musicians, whatever. But you know what? An electrician, a plumber in a developed country like the States and the US, they make money. They are expensive. When the plumber
So much, like they are the ones,
man. And why is that? Because when they come to do that work that you yourself cannot do, you have to pay them that premium. So in their mind, they're just thinking that, no, this my father's job is a dead end. But if they realize that people's plumbing issues, I don't know anybody, and I'm not joking, I don't know anybody that has built a house that they didn't have plumbing issues for like months after they built their house. So imagine if someone comes and perfects their craft. Perfect your craft as a plumber, as an art. People always complain about all these artisans. It's because they're not seeing the quality of work they want. So it's a mindset shift. It's a mind. So my son says he wanted to be a footballer. My younger son, that one, he wants to be a footballer. He's told me that once he's 14, I need to change his school so that he can go and do academic school. I was just looking at it. I don't want to tell you, I didn't know schools are cheap. But in his mind, that's what he wants to be. But you know what? My mindset has changed, Because I know footballers now that have helped their parents go and
Yes,
balance.
so
So that's why I keep saying that it's a thing about exposure. If before my son that said, oh, they want to do blogging, I was like, yeah, but now we know it's different. So
yeah.
we now know that the world has changed. It's what you can make of it in your own space. It's the fact that you are giving something of value and people want to. How do you make what you have valuable? It can be anything. It can be anything. And I think that's the mindset that parents need to have. So mine, they want a doctor. I'm not even, mine is to help guide them to ensure that they have the skills that will help them in that your area, learn and unlearn and relearn, always innovating. Do you understand? And always exploring the opportunities around you. To me, it's no longer a
Mm.
career. Sure, they keep saying it that the jobs of the future, we don't even know what they will be. We are making
We
noise
don't
about
know.
blogging. We're making noise about TikTok now. We don't know in 20 years what will be reigning.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
20 years is even a long time. In the next 5 years, we don't know what it is that will take
Absolutely. In the
over.
next 5 years.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
things
We don't
things
know.
are changing quite quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very fast. And still talking about very irregular or unpopular professions that people practice. I came across another one, a pickup artist consultant. So what the guy does is to just get other guys on how to get their dream woman, and they're paying him premium. Like he moves from
Interesting.
country to country. So that's what he does.
Wow.
Artist consultant. So yeah, let's look at the comment from Olushola Olumide. He says, while it's good for parents to have dream careers and jobs for their children, it must be from a knowledge point of view and not from what was in vogue in their generation, which is absolutely what we have been talking about. And he also says parents should also learn to respect the wishes of their children. It's good to be a guide, but to unseat the child from the other, but not to unseat the child from the driver's seat of his or her life. Absolutely correct. So yeah, parents can guide and say, I know that when I was going to fill my jump form, I wanted two things that was topmost of my mind. The only two things I wanted to be in my life ever was either to do theater arts or to do fine arts. Those are the two things I wanted to do because I'm quite an artistic person. My expression, yes, I might be a reserved person, but I just felt, look, I'm going to do well in theater art. Eventually, I realized, yes, I could have had a future in theater art, not on the stage, behind the stage, putting in all the other things that I know how to do. But my parents didn't outright say no, you can't do theater art. So, you buy jam form now, you now call your child, sit down, what do you want, and say theater art. What's in all the whatness, theater arts or fine arts, but they were able to guide to say, look, we're also looking at the future for you. At the time, it wasn't glamorous. It didn't look like anything that, and even till now, theater arts is not exactly paying, especially for the actors. For people who are into set, costuming, and all of that, yes, they could make their money in some other ways. But for acting, which really wasn't my fault anyway. But talking about Olushola's comments about parents being the guide, not taking over the driver's seat, is absolutely correct. Each child is tailored to do other things. Each child is tailored for what's their capacity. So to say, oh, I want you to be a doctor because I wanted to be a doctor and I couldn't be a doctor, so you have to be that doctor for me. It's not fair on the child. It's not fair on their expression for life. So yes, we hope that this morning we have been able to touch on areas that would help schools, parents, and even some kids to be able to find how they would fit into the future, such that they are not competing with redundancy already. Before you even get into the system, you're redundant. They can continue to upgrade themselves and see the demands of um, what are the demands of the future of work, of education, at the moment, and where do I fit into this? Not waiting. We had a headline about a lecturer who couldn't solve a math problem that he gave to his class. So we're not waiting for lecturers and a system like that that will just set us up, and at the end of the day we come out of school frustrated, turning to crime and all of that. That's our beat this morning. Thank you very much to everyone who has joined us. Thank you, Shola Lumide, for your comments. Thank you, Ugochi, for being here. Thank you, Titi Adewusi, for being here. Even though it looks like network has taken her out now, but that's our beat this morning, and we wish you a beautiful day ahead. And before we go, we would like to say, join us tomorrow. We'll be back here at 8 o'clock. 8 to 9 o'clock is the time. Keep a date with us. And as we sign off, we'll go to sign off first.
It's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show.
Yes, it's a great morning.
I don't know why I always have to laugh or smile when I have to say that. All right, bye.
Beautiful. Bye-bye, everybody.